Perfect. Thank you very much. And welcome everyone. Looks like I will have one of the last presentation today at this great virtual event of Softprom. Thank you, Softprom, for getting this set up. My name is Walo Weber. I'm the Sales Engineering Manager for the DACH and Eastern Europe region in EMEA. And I will go through some best practices on how you can optimally protect your web applications. There will be basically 4 parts. First part, I will go through some of the learnings, some of the things that we see going on in the market, seeing with our customers, what challenges they have. As said before, I will then provide some best practices on how to mitigate the risk to being hacked, and summarize the key takeaways on how Imperva can help you in this journey. So let's get started with what we see in the current application security environment and what the challenges are out there. First, the threat landscape is changing. First one that we see is more and more attacks are not directed to applications anymore, but to the APIs, which typically also expose data, but don't yet have the same protection level as the applications, the classical applications. The second trend that we are seeing is that 24% of all traffic going to websites is made up of bad bots. That has 2 implications. First of all, you get 25%. Every 4th request is unnecessary, is not anything that should ever reach your application. And at the same time, what we are seeing is the bad bots get more and more intelligent, and they are not only about making your application unavailable or degrading performance. What we see is very targeted automated attack to monetize on your web application. Is it by site scraping, getting the best price from your side and offering the same for a little bit less, locking articles on your website so that you have an advantage in the market, buying tickets automatically and selling them on a higher price in the on the black market. There's a lot of this going on, and I will show you later on what Imperva can help you here. The other 2 challenges that we are seeing is, on one hand, the number of attacks is still rising. Sonic has identified a year-over-year increase of 18% going on, so it's not getting less. It's the opposite. It's getting more and more attacks happening to your applications. The challenge that is rising out of it, you get more and more alerts. More and more attacks mean more and more systems identify anything abnormal. How can you make sure that you monitor and follow up on the critical incidents and are not drowned by alerts? Many of our customers say they have not enough internal resources to go through all the alerts, and they are afraid of missing some of the important alerts they actually see in their environments, but are not able to process. The other thing that we are seeing is the software complexity is evolving. Not only is DevOps taking place from the classical waterfall development model over to Agile, now back to DevOps. More and more changes happening here, more flexibility, more options on how to deliver new features in your applications. Also, the architecture has changed. In the past, we had one big application. It then got tiered, and nowadays, with microservices are spinning up whenever more performance, more features, more services are required. The same on the server and infrastructure detail from physical hardware in your data center. We are moved to the virtualization. We are moving now to the cloud and to containerized or even serverless services providing the application. All those things are adding to a new dynamic, obviously very much liked by the business and driven by the business. In the past, with the monolithic, with the classical development practices, we have seen about 1 or 2 releases a year. We then moved over to the monthly releases, which are nowadays still making up about half of the applications. But we are moving now to more and more quicker development cycles, more releases, more new features, more changes to the applications, whether it's weekly releases or whether it's even daily, multi-day releases of your new application features available based on the new DevOps practices, based on the microservices and the new technologies available in the market. Included or related to it is that not all of the software that you are using to build your application is your own software. A lot of it, if you're looking at the operating system, the containers, the virtual machines, they are not developed by you, but you're using services, you're using software built by others, or also databases and even open source components and other application runtimes that you are reusing from the outside, where you have little or no influence on it. And if there are vulnerabilities, the challenge is how to fix those. Looking at some numbers, last year we had around 300 billion downloads of open source libraries, and in every 8 of those libraries there was a known vulnerability included. We're not talking about the unknowns, just the knowns. We know that around 5 billion libraries have been infected and are in use out there. The time it takes to fix one of those high severity vulnerabilities that allow for SQL injections and other attack vectors is in average 290 days. So if you're using those libraries, you have a time window of close to 1 year where your application is vulnerable and where you need to take some other course of action to make sure that the data which is behind is protected. And last but not least, what we are seeing is based on the overload in the SOC team, based on the flood of alerts, that it's taking our customers more than 2 weeks to identify that there has been an incident through the discovery, as there is no correlation, as there is no automated prioritization of the alerts, so that you can focus on what is really critical. What Imperva now is looking at the situation is you have your data, which is your crown jewel. We say, or you hear sometimes that the data is the new oil. We believe that data is even more relevant, more valuable than oil, as it is what your business is all about. And you need to take every action to protect those data. There are different ways on how you can access the data. The first one is from external, your partners, your employees working from home, but also the hackers and the bad bots, the DDoS attacks are attacking or trying to access your data through the applications, through APIs from the outside. And on the other side, you have the internal threats, which can be malicious or compromised users. that are having access either directly to the data or can access to APIs and applications from the inside of your organization. So what we recommend is not only protect one path to it, but what you need to make sure is that all paths to your data is protected, something we call defense in depth. Not only one solution, not only one place to fix your potential vulnerabilities based on the used open source libraries need to be addressed. Not only topics like DDoS need to be addressed, but an end-to-end security in-depth model to make sure that your data are not accessible from the outside. So let's look at a few best practices. What we recommend must be happening to be successful in the new environment that we are seeing with more agile development, with the broader usage of third-party libraries, and with the increased threat coming from outside and inside your organization. The first one that we see is very important and more important than ever is that you need to get an executive alignment. What do I mean, or what do we mean with that? As we have seen, we have the business who wants to develop new features, new application, new services for the customers, new services for your business to make money, is posing a risk and a challenge to the security. How can you ensure that your new services and your new technology has the same security as it used to have in the past? This can only be achieved if you have a joint vision, a joint agreement on what the business needs to deliver and what security measurements need to be put into place to ensure that your business is not only fast and agile, but also secure, so that the data behind your business is not at risk. There are a few things to look at. It's not only about the production environments, it's also about pre-production. You potentially have also data there. So you need to make sure that you have a good end-to-end, not only on the chain that we have seen, but also inside, that your data and all the paths, all the ways to the data are taken into account. And you need to make sure that you have the right security at the edge to defend from the different types of attacks. And in the end, it must be measurable so that security and business can align again their targets, their goals. When we look at the first part, how to protect the apps from the outside in the edge, what we are seeing is one thing, the volumetric attacks, the DDoS, that needs to be addressed. If your application is attacked by DDoS, by a volumetric attack, your application will not be available, and your business will not be available for your clients. So you need to make sure before a DDoS attack reaches your network that it is mitigated by an according solution. The second thing is the classical attacks, the SQL injection, cross-site scriptings, the OWASP top 10, the OWASP-related attacks. Again, a web application firewall with its signatures, with its policies, with its whitelisting, blacklisting approaches can address some of it. And we will just see on the next level, when we look into more deep on the next level, how we can improve this one. The other thing I mentioned before is what we are seeing more and more are the advanced bots, not only for DDoS, but mainly for business attacks on harvesting your site, on site scraping, on account takeovers. Another thing that we are seeing a lot, especially in the financial industry, but not only, where the attacker tries to identify whether stolen credentials, whether available credentials from other data leakages are used on different web pages so that they can get access and can get monetary benefit from overtaken accounts. The fourth layer, not to neglect, as we have seen, APIs is the new target as applications are protected better and better, but the APIs have not yet reached the same level of security. Don't forget to also protect your APIs to make sure that those automated paths to your data cannot be used to steal your sensitive data. Next level is if we are thinking about the third-party libraries, the operating systems, the databases that all have vulnerabilities, how you can ensure that those vulnerabilities cannot be misused. Here we recommend that you are using a tool or a solution to secure all your apps by default, as we are saying. What does that mean? That means that you could use a solution like real-time application self-protection, which is part of the development cycle, which is helping, on one hand, your developers to develop code faster, and if there is ever an implementation bug, or if there is third-party code that has vulnerabilities, you can still safely deploy and use those parties, as the built-in security is checking the code when it is executed, not when it is implemented, checking for potential implementation bugs, but it is executed on the code when it is running and checking the syntax and the grammatic of the executed statements, whether that might include potential risk to your application. With that, you can overcome a lot of the known vulnerabilities. You can overcome even zero-day protection if there is anything that you have not seen before, that your web application, firewall, your signatures cannot be aware of yet. Still, if it is executed, the code might look completely wrong, and this RASP solution can help you in identifying on a third level, after DDoS, after advanced bot, after web application firewall. RASP will be the next layer to ensure an end-to-end security for all code, for all statements that are executed by your applications. Fourth part is, we talked about too many events, too many alerts, the fatigue, the overload in your SOC teams. How can you improve that? I always like to say, instead of looking at the haystack, just filter out all the unknown in there, and then you have a much smaller stack of needles and other unexpected things that you can easily, or much easier, analyze and respond to potential issue. How can you achieve that? You need to have automatic tools that are analyzing the haystack, that are looking for the unknown, that are looking for patterns that you have seen in the past, how attacks are looking. You need to include not only your own data, but you need to work with vendors that have the security experience, that can enrich known attacks seen by other customers, seen in the network, and help you identify known attacks also when they are reaching your application, so that your security team has less alerts and can therefore identify risks much easier, and with that respond much faster to the issues that are coming up. Before coming to the end, here an overview on how Imperva, what solutions Imperva is offering in that area. We see again in the middle, we have the data. The data can be accessed through the APIs and applications. They can be accessed from the outside through the APIs and applications. From the inside, they can be accessed directly or as well through the applications and APIs that are available also to the inside of your organization. If you look at the external threats from the outside, Imperva has a global network of 44 points of presence, one in Moscow, one in Warsaw, and many, many more all over the world, which is providing a content delivery net and load balancing environment so that we can provide a better experience, a better availability for your applications. And at the same time, we have in every top a stack of solutions to mitigate DDoS attacks with a 3-second SLA. So every packet that is coming in is inspected for DDoS, and if we identify a DDoS attack, we will start mitigating at least within 3 seconds, fully automatically without your interaction. We have advanced bot protection available, which uses intelligent fingerprinting, intelligent challenging and identifying the source to make sure that there are no bots, but only your legitimate customers, your clients, accessing your application and APIs. We have a WAF, both on-premise as well as in the cloud, in the global Imperva network available. We have API security to whitelist what your API definition is and ensure no additional parameters or additional calls can be passing the security. And we have the runtime application self-protection module, which you can use as a plugin inside your application and check your syntax, your code at runtime to identify further potential attacks based on analyzing the syntax and the code at runtime. From the inside, as mentioned before, we have an on-premise WAF solution, including an API security, and also the RASP, the runtime application self-protection, also can be used obviously for internal applications. In addition to monitor and protect direct data access to the database, to your cloud databases, we have a solution to monitor all the access, to have audit policies for your compliance recording, and we have security policies which include firewalling to alert you on real time if an access is happening that is not allowed, so that you can react or, as I mentioned, firewall, terminate the connection to the database if needed. All of this feeds into our machine learning and AI engine on the application side to attack analytics, where we analyze all the alerts from all the solutions and analyze whether there is a distributed, a targeted attack, things that you do not see when looking at hundreds of events. We, with the machine learning, can group them together, correlate them, and give you an attack narrative telling you what is going on your application side that you might overlook or not being able to correlate in the end. The same for the data security. We have a data security risk analysis engine, which is doing the same as with the application. We look at all the activity that is happening on your databases and identify unusual data access and unusual user behavior, put them in a context and present it in an easy-to-read dashboard for your SOC team. To summarize, the key takeaways for you is on one hand, make sure that the executive level is aligned, that you have the same goals, that you can combine business and security needs and pull at the same line to go in the same direction. Then protect the application from the outside at the edge. Make sure that no DDoS, no advanced bots. Remember, 25% of the requests are bad bots, so you should leave them out there before they reach your app and potentially cause any harm. Third takeaway is use automatic analytics, not to look through manually and try to identify what is going on. Use the help of our knowledge that we have built in our machine learning to prioritize, to identify distributed and targeted attacks over time and help your SOC team to focus on the real threats. The whole thing is also important. What Imperva is offering is a commercial model, which is helping you in your transformation. Today you have potentially monolithic technologies. In the future you may go to the cloud, you may use microservice technologies. Whatever your way in your transformation is, the Imperva commercial model is only based on bandwidth and number of applications you need to protect, no matter what technology you're using on our side, no matter whether it's on-premise, no matter it's in the cloud. We provide you the flexibility to grow and transform into the future. With that, I want to thank you for your time, for your attention being here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Imperva. We are more than happy to follow up with you.
Thank you, Walo. Dear colleagues, do you have questions for our speaker? No more questions. Thank you, Walo, for your presentation and for your time.
Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you.